He conquered Gaul across 8 brutal years, defeated Rome's greatest rival generals, crossed a freezing river that changed history forever, and transformed a 500-year-old republic into a global empire. Yet his greatest military and political victory would also become his ultimate downfall. This is the story of Julius Caesar, Rome's greatest general, master strategist, and the dictator whose name echoes through 2 millennia of human civilization. Before we trace Caesar's rise to absolute power, we must understand the world he was born into. By the 1st century BC, the Roman Republic was the undisputed superpower of the Mediterranean. Legion after legion had conquered Carthage, Greece, and Spain, pouring unimaginable wealth, gold, and enslaved populations into Rome. But this explosive growth poisoned the Republic from within. The gap between the ultra-wealthy patrician elite and the impoverished plebeian citizens sparked violent class riots. Rival warlords and political factions fought bloody civil wars in the streets, twisting the sacred laws of the Senate to serve their own ambition. The 500-year-old Roman constitution was fracturing under the weight of its own empire. Into this divided, chaotic world stepped one of history's most brilliant and ruthless men. Gaius Julius Caesar was born in 100 BC into the ancient Julii patrician clan, a noble family that claimed direct blood descent from the goddess Venus and Aeneas of Troy. Despite their mythical lineage, his family was relatively impoverished and politically isolated during Caesar's youth. Surviving the brutal purges of the dictator Sulla, young Caesar fled Rome to serve as a military officer in Asia Minor, where he won the civic crown for saving a fellow soldier's life under fire. But it was during a sea voyage to Greece in 75 BC that Caesar's extraordinary character became legendary. His ship was captured by ruthless Cilician pirates who demanded a ransom of 20 talents of silver. Instead of cowering, the 25-year-old Caesar laughed in their faces, telling them they didn't know whom they had captured, and ordered them to demand 50 talents instead. During his 40-day captivity, Caesar treated the pirates like his personal bodyguards, reading them poetry, playing dice, and repeatedly promising that once he was released, he would return with a fleet and crucify every last one of them. The pirates laughed it off as a joke. But the moment the ransom arrived and Caesar stepped ashore, he immediately raised a naval squadron, hunted down their pirate stronghold, captured their fleet, and executed them exactly as promised. Rome quickly realized Julius Caesar was a man of absolute, terrifying determination. Upon returning to Rome, Caesar threw himself into the cutthroat arena of Roman politics. Serving as a military tribunal officer, a courtroom orator, and chief priest of Jupiter, he captivated the plebeian working class with his charismatic public speeches and lavish gladiator games. Though he accumulated staggering financial debts to finance his political rise, his popularity soared. In 60 BC, Caesar orchestrated one of the most brilliant political alliances in history, the First Triumvirate. He forged a secret 3-way pact with Rome's 2 most powerful men, Pompey the Great, the Republic's most celebrated general, and Marcus Licinius Crassus, the wealthiest billionaire in Rome. Together, this unstoppable trio pooled their money, veterans, and political influence to bypass the conservative Senate entirely. Elected consul in 59 DC, Caesar pushed through popular agrarian land laws for Pompey's veterans and secured for himself the ultimate military prize, a 5-year proconsular command over the untamed, dangerous frontier provinces of northern Italy and southern Gaul. Caesar now had the legions, the legal immunity, and the stage he needed to achieve immortal military glory. In 58 BC, Caesar marched his legions north into Gaul, a vast, wild territory encompassing modern-day France, Belgium, Switzerland, and Western Germany. For nearly 10 years, Caesar waged a masterclass of military strategy, engineering, and psychological warfare against fierce Celtic and Germanic tribes. When the Helvetii tribe attempted to migrate across Roman borders, Caesar force-marched his legions at lightning speed, constructed 19 miles of earthwork fortifications in days, and crushed their advance. He crossed the treacherous Rhine River into Germany by engineering a 400-foot wooden timber bridge across the rushing current in just 10 days, an astonishing feat that terrified the Germanic warlords. He even launched the first 2 Roman naval invasions across the English Channel into the mysterious island of Britain. Across a decade of campaigning, Caesar captured over 800 fortified cities, subdued 300 tribes, and added over 500,000 square miles to the Roman Empire. To ensure the citizens back home never forgot his triumphs, Caesar wrote his own real-time frontline dispatches, titled Commentari de Bello Gallico, the Gallic Wars. Written in crisp third-person prose, these accounts shaped how history remembers the campaign and transformed Caesar into a living demigod among the Roman people. In 52 BC, the Gallic tribes united under a charismatic chieftain named Vercingetorix to launch a desperate struggle for independence. The campaign culminated in Caesar's undisputed military masterpiece, the Siege of Alesia. Vercingetorix retreated into the fortified hilltop city of Alesia with 80,000 Gallic warriors. Outnumbered and far from Roman supply lines, Caesar executed one of the most astonishing engineering feats in military history. He ordered his legions to surround the entire mountain fortress with an 11-mile inner fortification wall, the circumvallation, complete with 18 towers, deep trenches, iron caltrops, and wooden stakes to keep the besieged army inside. But learning that a massive Gallic relief army of over 200,000 warriors was marching from the outside to rescue Vercingetorix, Caesar built a second 14-mile outer wall, the contravallation, facing outward. Trapped inside the narrow ring between his own 2 wooden walls, Caesar fought off desperate, simultaneous assaults from both the inside fortress and the outside relief army. At the climax of the battle, when the outer wall was breached, Caesar personally donned his scarlet-red cloak, rallied his wavering legions, and led his Germanic cavalry in a devastating flank charge. The relief army was routed, and Vercingetorix surrendered his arms at Caesar's feet. Alesia stands eternal as history's ultimate siege victory.
While Caesar conquered Gaul, the First Triumvirate back in Rome collapsed. Crassus was killed in Parthia, and Pompey allied with conservative Senate aristocrats who dreaded Caesar's immense power. In January of 49 BC, the Senate declared Caesar a public enemy and ordered him to disband his legions and return to Rome as a private citizen. Caesar faced a fateful choice: surrender and face political ruin, or march on Rome and trigger civil war. On January 10th, Caesar stood on the freezing northern banks of the Rubicon River, the legal boundary of Italy across which no general was permitted to lead troops. Uttering his immortal Greek proverb, Alea iacta est, the die is cast, Caesar led his hardened 13th Legion across the icy waters. Pompey and the Senate panicked, fleeing Italy to Greece to muster a massive army. Caesar pursued them across Spain and the Adriatic Sea, culminating at the decisive Battle of Pharsalus in 48 BC. Pompey held a crushing 2-to-1 numerical superiority and launched a massive cavalry charge to envelop Caesar's right flank. But Caesar anticipated the move, hiding a secret 4th line of infantry armed with stabbing spears aimed directly at the faces of Pompey's aristocratic cavalry. The surprise tactic shattered Pompey's horsemen, and Caesar's battle-hardened veterans routed the senatorial army. Pompey fled to Egypt, seeking refuge, only to be treacherously assassinated upon arrival by Egyptian courtiers. Arriving in Alexandria just days after Pompey's murder, Caesar was presented with his rival's severed head. Instead of rejoicing, Caesar wept openly at the tragic fate of his former friend and son-in-law. Finding himself plunged into a violent Egyptian dynastic civil war, Caesar forged a legendary political and romantic alliance with the brilliant 21-year-old Queen Cleopatra VII. Smuggled into Caesar's royal quarters, rolled inside a bed sack, Cleopatra captivated the Roman dictator with her political intellect, ambition, and charm. After defeating her rivals in the Siege of Alexandria, Caesar placed Cleopatra firmly on the Egyptian throne. She bore him a son, Caesarion, linking the immense wealth of Egypt directly to Caesar's political destiny. Returning to Rome undisputed master of the Mediterranean, Caesar was appointed dictator for 10 years,
and soon after, dictator in perpetuity. He immediately launched sweeping, visionary reforms. He relieved debt for the working class, granted Roman citizenship to conquered provinces, initiated massive public building projects, and replaced the chaotic Roman lunar calendar with the solar-based Julian calendar, the foundation of the calendar we still use today. But to conservative patricians, his absolute monopoly on power signaled the death of freedom. Whispers echoed through the marble corridors of the Senate. Julius Caesar wanted to be crowned king of Rome. By early 44 BC, a secret conspiracy of over 60 senators had formed to eliminate the dictator and restore the traditional republic. Led by Marcus Junius Brutus, whom Caesar treated almost like a son, and Gaius Cassius Longinus, the plotters chose a date of profound destiny, the Ides of March, March 15th. Despite warnings from his wife Calpurnia and a blind seer who told him to beware the Ides of March, Caesar entered the Senate meeting at the Theater of Pompey, unarmed and without his bodyguard. As he took his seat, the conspirators crowded around him under the pretense of presenting a petition. Suddenly, Casca grabbed Caesar's toga, and 23 daggers plunged into the 55-year-old dictator. Caesar fought back fiercely until he saw Brutus among his attackers with his dagger drawn. Overcome by the ultimate betrayal, Caesar pulled his toga over his face and collapsed right at the foot of the statue of his old rival, Pompey the Great. While Shakespeare immortalized his dying words as et tu, Brute, ancient historians report that his true final words remain one of history's greatest mysteries. The Ides of March was intended to save the Republic. Instead, it triggered its final bloody destruction.
Caesar's assassination did not restore the Republic. It unleashed 13 years of devastating civil war between the assassins and Caesar's loyalists. In 27 BC, Caesar's adopted son and heir, Octavian, emerged victorious and was crowned Augustus, Rome's first emperor. The 500-year-old Republic was dead, and the Roman Empire was born. Caesar's legacy permanently reshaped the Western world. His name, Caesar, became the official imperial title of Roman rulers for centuries, giving rise to the German Kaiser and the Russian Tsar. His Julian calendar structured human time for 1,600 years until the Gregorian reform, and the month of July still bears his name today. Julius Caesar was not merely Rome's greatest general and siege engineer. He was a political titan who altered the course of human civilization, leaving a name synonymous with absolute leadership. Yet Rome survived Caesar's death. But one ancient enemy had once brought the Roman Republic closer to complete annihilation than anyone else in history. In our next episode, we follow the brilliant Carthaginian commander who crossed the snowy Alps with war elephants and terrified Rome itself, Hannibal Barca. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now so you don't miss it.